In the beginning of the episode, we are shown that all the members of Furan and Ku are fighting each other. Sububisha, Su, Sakura, and the others are all engaged in battle, but Mariah is standing on the sidelines, scared and unable to do anything. He is no longer standing alone, so now Yu is left alone to fight the enemy. Nai is attacked and severely injured. Su and Sakura are both shocked, but they can't help him because they are busy fighting others. The enemy then brings out an iron rod to finish Nai off. At this point, we are shown a flashback revealing how things came to this point. The scene shifts to when everyone was arriving at Ku's base. Nurai is informing the team that Ku is a small team with a skeleton dragon logo. Nurai says he doesn't know much about how the team was formed, but he has heard they are involved in many criminal activities. Suda Sakura says that if they are truly criminals, it makes him even angrier. He says it doesn't matter who the enemy is, they just have to get Nagato back. Anze is very grateful and thanks everyone for their help. However, he warns them to be careful, saying Ku's members are ruthless and use weapons like bats and planks without hesitation. In the next scene, they finally reach Ku's base, but the door is locked. Sakura asks how they can get inside, and just then, Nurai's phone keeps buzzing with notifications. Sakura gets annoyed and asks about the noise. Before Nurai can answer, Subisho tries to open the gate. Nurai doubts it will work, but Subisho kicks the lock and manages to open it, impressing everyone. As they enter, Ku's members welcome them mockingly. One man tells Nagato that his friends have come to save him. Nagato is shown badly beaten, and seeing this, Anze gets angry and tries to rush in, but Sakura stops him. Anze asks why he's being stopped, and Sakura tells the enemy to hand over Nagato. The enemy refuses, saying Nagato still needs to be beaten more. Sakura warns them to hand him over peacefully, but they start mocking him. He says they are in the way and leaves them no choice. After defeating them, they'll take Nagato back. The enemy leader mocks them, saying they look like heroes, and that they'll have to fight. More Ku members arrive and surround the entire Furan team. Some Furan members are scared, thinking the enemy would be fewer. However, Mitsuki and Tiga confidently say they can handle them. Sakura tells the scared members to step back, saying they aren't needed and that he'll handle them himself. This inspires the rest to regain their courage and declare they are strong enough to win. They all prepare for battle. As the fight begins, everyone is fighting well. Shu, Subisho, Mitsuki, Tiga, and Sakura are especially impressive. A Ku member comments on how strong these five are. Sakura urges Anze to move forward, and he does. The rest clear a path for Anze and Sakura to reach Nagato. Nagato, barely conscious, sees Anze approaching and is shocked. Sakura stays on the lower path while Anze goes up the stairs to rescue Nagato, but Ku members block his way. Anze fights back, landing punches, but his opponent dodges and counters with a strong kick, knocking Anze unconscious and down the stairs. Sakura tries to help Anze, but a man attacks him with an iron rod. Sakura dodges, but four more strong opponents arrive and reach Shu, Subisho, Mitsuki, and Tiga. The man fighting Sakura is named Kongo, and he continues attacking with the rod, but Sakura keeps dodging. When Sakura sees one of his companions attacked, he rushes to help, but Kongo strikes him in the head and says, "Fight me first." Ku's leader is now confident. He says the five strong members were the reason Furan was winning, but now they are all occupied and can't help each other. He mocks them for walking into a trap. Nurai, watching all this, is terrified. He believes they are losing. He blames himself for Su's poor performance and for being a burden. He remembers Sakura's words telling him he's not weak. Encouraged, he decides to act, saying he is also part of Furan and must do something. He tackles an opponent to protect his teammate, but two enemies gang up on him and beat him badly. Once again, Nurai loses hope, saying he truly is useless and apologizes to Sakura. Sakura is upset but can't help because his opponent is blocking him. A man raises a rod to hit Nurai again, but suddenly, the gate flies open and hits the attacker. Everyone is shocked. The one who kicked the gate open is revealed to be Kaji, a second-year student, who has arrived with 2 friends to save them. Kaji says to Nurai that he's glad they made it in time. The crew members are terrified, recognizing Kaji as the guy who doesn't stop until his enemies are completely defeated. The crew leader asks if Kaji has come to provide backup and tries to dismiss the situation, saying it doesn't concern Furin. Some Furin members begin to agree, but Kaji responds angrily, saying they've come to deal with the whole situation. He reminds them that they protect everything in this town, and if a member has a friend, that friend becomes theirs too. They will protect him. Sakura is touched by these words. The crew leader says he doesn't understand what Kaji is talking about. Kaji calls him stupid for stealing something that will ultimately hurt them. The crew members become scared. The leader tells his companions to stop being afraid and fight, even though they clearly don't want to. They attack, but Kaji and his friends easily defeat them. Kaji then tells Inamoto and Kasumi to take care of things below while he heads upstairs to confront the leader. Kasumi takes Nurai to safety while Nurai thinks to himself that he couldn't do anything and feels useless. Meanwhile, Inamoto tells his friend to hurry and defeat the enemy, they're here to support them. Kaji reaches the leader, puts the unconscious Enze aside, and prepares for battle. Sakura tries to stop Kaji, saying he wants to fight the leader. Sakura's opponent reminds him he's still fighting, but Sakura insists. Kaji and Sakura stop fighting for a moment. Kaji tells Sakura to consider his situation. Suddenly, Sakura's opponent attacks Kaji with a rod, but Kaji dodges and counterattacks. The opponent becomes scared and backs off, wondering who Kaji really is. Kaji tells him to be quiet because he wants to talk to Sakura. He scolds Sakura, saying he's too focused on fighting the leader while failing to protect weaker teammates. Kaji says Sakura should be ashamed to call himself a captain when he can't even help others. He then tells Sakura he'll punch the leader for him and leaves. Sakura says he wanted to punch the leader's nose 10 times, and Kaji replies that he'll take care of it. Sakura's opponent feels relieved he no longer has to fight Kaji. But then Sakura punches himself and declares he's ready to finish the fight quickly, saying he doesn't have time for useless talk. Subscribe to see more amazing videos on the channel in the future, and please press the like button to support our hard work. We see Kaji and the leader of Kiel standing in front of each other. The leader says, "Now I'm going to fight you, Kaji. You're very famous, and I'll have a lot of fun fighting you. We are the same, don't you think so?" He continues, "You just punished Sakura, who was your companion. I also punish my companions like this, and when I do, they listen to me. People will only listen to you when they're afraid of you." Then he says to Kaji, "Since we both enjoy violence, why do you want to be a hero?" The Kiel leader keeps talking nonsense, which makes Kaji very angry. Kaji tells him to shut his mouth. The Kiel leader then adds, "Kaji, if I defeat you, you must join me." But Kaji replies, "I'm not going to hear anything wrong about Furin." We are then told that the leader's name is Notorious Singo. We see Sakura on the other side delivering a powerful kick. Kongo is terrified to see this side of Sakura, thinking to himself that Sakura has never been this dangerous before. He calls him a monster, just like Kaji. Then Kongo orders all the Kiel members to attack Sakura, but Sakura defeats all of them effortlessly. He then moves toward Kongo and punches him hard in the face, sending him flying. Looking at the remaining Kiel members, Sakura says, "Let's finish all this." Meanwhile, we see Tiga getting hit by his opponent, but he says, "Never mind, this is my ritual. First I get hit, then I teach them a lesson." The opponent comes to attack Tiga again. Elsewhere, Sabashida is fighting his opponent, who taunts him, saying, "You all remain disappointed, and that's why you're weak." He then tries to hit Sabashida with a bat, but Sabashida dodges. The opponent kicks him hard in the stomach. Then we see Tada, who punches his opponent so hard that he falls down. Tiga says, let's start the final round. Subashida also hits his opponent hard against the ground. At the same time, Tsukishima remembers his fight with Sakura. Tiga and his opponent crash into a wall while fighting. The opponent attacks him with a stick, but Tiga easily blocks it and says, we still have enough strength to fight many rounds. Eventually, Tiga and Subashida knock out their opponents. On the other side, Mitsuji is fighting Kaba, while Kaga keeps teasing Mitsuji, saying, you're like a girl. You're very weak. We learn that Kaga joined the Kiel gang just for fun, and no one in Kiel gives him orders. Mitsuji tells him, you're a fool. You're not popular with girls or guys. He mocks Kaga even more, which angers him, and he starts attacking Mitsuji repeatedly. Mitsuji dodges all the attacks and counters with his own, causing Kaga to faint. Mitsuji tells him, you were calling me weak, but now who's weak? If you had been a better person, you would have been popular among girls. Then we see the rest of the Furin members fighting against Kiel's gang. One Furin member is getting beaten up, but Kasumi arrives and saves him. The first-year students of Furin begin praising their seniors. Suddenly, a Kiel member tries to attack them from behind, but Sakura shows up and finishes him off. Sakura looks sad and tells everyone, forgive me. Next time, I'll focus better on my battle so you don't have to face trouble because of me. Then all of them head off to defeat the rest of the enemies. Suddenly, a flying guy attacks Sakura, saying he'll break his eyes because he thinks they're dirty. But before he can do anything, Soa kicks him hard, knocking him unconscious. Soa goes to punch him again, but Sakura stops him and says it's unnecessary. Soa says, you've become so calm. Sakura replies, I was just like you, but I learned how much I can do. Now I want to help all of you. Hearing this, Soa is surprised and says, Sakura has started talking so wisely. You've really changed, and I enjoyed hearing that. They both go ahead to help their team. Meanwhile, Kaji is still fighting Shingo. Kaji dodges Shingo's attacks and counters with a backflip kick, but it doesn't affect Shingo much. Shingo traps Kaji using a rope and tries to attack him again, but Kaji dodges once more. Shingo says, I'm telling the truth, if you join my team, we'll have so much fun. I know you're a monster. You haven't shown your true form yet. Kaji replies, you're right. I'm not a hero. I used to be very violent, and there were always people around me. I was crazy at the beginning, but then I met people who completely changed me. Now, I have control over myself. While saying this, he remembers all the captains and Am. Shingo responds, no matter how many speeches you give, I know you're not human, you're a monster. And now, I'm going to make you fear me. Shingo starts attacking Kaji again, but Kaji keeps dodging. Then Kaji jumps in the air, grabs a chain, and kicks Shingo hard. Shingo counters and knocks Kaji down, saying, you're very weak, and continues attacking him with a bat. Just as he's about to strike Kaji's head, Kaji dodges and delivers a powerful kick to Shingo's stomach, knocking him down. Kaji becomes furious, and Shingo looks at him and says, yes. This is what I wanted to see. This is your real form. They then start punching each other fiercely, and Kaji lands a brutal blow on Shingo. Shingo says, I want to be like you, as if he's enjoying controlling the beast within. After that, Kaji lands a powerful punch on Shingo's face, knocking him to the ground. Kaji prepares to punch him again but then hesitates, thinking, if I hit him now, he'll never be able to get up again. This fight has gone on long enough. Just then, Kasumi and Inamoto arrive. They look around and see all the Kiel members defeated. Kasumi and Inamoto raise Kaji's hand in victory, and everyone starts celebrating, the Furin team has won the battle. However, Sakura doesn't look happy. We then see Anze slowly regaining consciousness. He opens his eyes, confused about what happened, but soon realizes they've won. He then notices the second-year students and is surprised to see them. What are the second-year students doing here, he wonders. Inamoto replies, we all came to help you. Nagato is brought over, and someone says, Nagato, say what you want to say. Nagato approaches Anze and asks, why did you do all this? Everything was happening because of me, and I told you not to get involved. You shouldn't have come here. Sakura responds, don't think you're special. We didn't come here because of you. There was a girl crying her heart out, begging us to save you. Never ignore the words of a girl, that's why I came here to save you, no matter what. He adds, the people from Fort were tormenting others. That's why they needed to be taught a lesson. Kasumi and Kaji also speak to Anze, saying, just because you think you're wrong doesn't mean others do too. That's not how it works. Hearing this, Nagato starts crying. The episode begins with Anze asking Nagato how he got involved with the Kill Gang. Nagato explains that it all started after their graduation exam. While heading home, he saw some boys beating up a guy and stealing his wallet. At first, he thought of ignoring it and walking away, but he couldn't take it and asked them to stop and return the guy's belongings. They let the guy go and started beating up Nagato instead. Suddenly, a boy appeared and beat all of them up. That boy was Notori. Nagato started wondering why he wasn't as strong and cool as Notori. He was amazed by him. Notori then told Nagato, you're really brave for stepping up to save someone. You're actually pretty cool. Nagato humbly denied it, saying he did nothing. Notori then invited him to join the Kill Gang, saying they needed good people like him. The next day, Nagato visited the gang's base. Notori introduced himself and behaved nicely with Nagato, saying he was glad to have him there. Nagato thought, so, he's the leader. No doubt, he's so strong. Then, Nagato saw a boy getting beaten badly. He asked why. Notori replied, he was thinking of leaving our gang. When Nagato asked if he wouldn't save him, Notori punched him in the face and said, it's easy to control weak people. Now you're stuck here, and weaklings can never leave. He shut the gate and welcomed him to kill. Nagato's struggle. Nagato brought 300 yen in 3 days, and his next target was to bring 500 yen in another 3 days. If he failed, he was beaten. Then, he tried to steal a woman's purse. You might remember this from the last episode of Season 1. Anze's guilt. Anze arrives and blames himself for what happened. He says, if I were strong, I could have saved you that day. Nagato replies, even if you had, I wouldn't have come with you. A guy like me, who's done such bad things, can't be with someone like you. I always wanted to be like you. I joined the team to get closer to you, but I never became as strong and cool as you. Anze hugs him and says, are you crazy? What are you saying? Remember how even when you got hurt as a kid, you never cried. You always smiled. You've always been strong and cool. Nagato hugs him back and starts crying. This scene was super emotional, pure friendship. Scene shift. We then see Nair sleeping on Taigo's shoulder while being carried. Everyone is heading home. When Nair asks where they are, Mizuki says, we won the fight and are going home. Nair says, glad everything went well. Then Sue playfully flicks his forehead. Nair asks, why did you hit me? Sue says, where did you go during the fight? How could you be so careless? What if something happened to you? Nair apologizes. Taigo thanks him for calling the upperclassmen for help. Thanks to him, everyone made it back safely. Nair asks about Sakura, who's walking slowly behind. He tells Sakura, I'm glad you're okay. Sakura replies the same but says, you should take care of yourself. Nair tells him he's impressive, being a new great captain, helping everyone, and leading the team. He thanks him. But Sakura is angry, saying, there's nothing impressive about me. I couldn't even handle the situation myself. We needed help from second years. What kind of great captain am I? When you were getting beaten and others were injured, I couldn't do anything. He blames himself. Anze tells him not to. If it weren't for you, I couldn't have saved Nagato alone. Nagato also thanks him. Other boys also admit they're at fault for being weak and getting injured. Taigo says it's everyone's responsibility to get stronger. Mizuki jokes, that's fine, but look at Sujisuda, he's worried about how he'll face Yumiya. Cheering Sakura up. Su puts his hand on Sujisuda's shoulder and says, me and Nair are vice-captains too. It's our responsibility to do well. Then everyone starts cheering for Sakura. Sakura wonders what he's feeling. For the first time, seeing his friends hurt made him feel pain and hesitate to fight. Veteran perspective. Kazi, Inamoto, and Kasumi are watching and smiling. Inamoto tells Kazi, something similar happened when you became captain. Kazi says, what do you think of this new team? Inamoto says, it's a new team with a lot of people, don't know much. But is something bothering you? Kazi says, yeah, one person can't bring so many people together. Something's fishy. At the restaurant. They all go to a restaurant where Yumiya is always present. They report everything to him. Yumiya seems strict at first, and everyone gets nervous. But we know how chill and kind he is. He laughs and says, whatever happened, it's fine. You all did well. Yumiya's encouragement. Everyone eats. Anze apologizes to Yumiya for involving Furin in a personal matter. Yumiya says, Nagato is your friend, so we just helped. That's what we do. Anze says, but because of me, even the upperclassmen had to get involved. Yumiya tells him, it's their job to help juniors. Nagato apologizes to Yumiya with his head bowed. Yumiya lovingly serves him food. Nagato takes a bite and starts crying, saying, it's been a long time since I ate something like this. Yumiya explains, that's because you're eating with everyone. Never forget this taste, it'll remind you to only do good from now on. What you did can't be erased, but you can still take a new step forward. Everyone smiles and starts eating. Sakura still sad. But Sakura remains sad. Yumiya asks, what happened now? Sakura stays silent, but Nair tells him everything. Sakura gets mad and says, I talk big, but I can't do anything. I can't even move my body properly. Yumiya and Hiragi look at each other and smile. Yumiya says, Sakura, when your friends were getting beaten, your body wouldn't move, right? Sakura is shocked. How do they know? Yumiya explains, because you care for them. Sakura blushes. Everyone laughs. As they all start to leave, Yumiya watches Sakura and thinks, this boy is going to become really strong. Final scene. The scene shifts to the park where Anze, Nagato, and Sakura are with their friend Tsuchiya, who starts crying. It's been a long time since the four reunited. Tsuchiya thanks Sakura, who blushes, as usual. Sakura says, I just kept my promise. Twist ending. Back at the Kill Gang's base, everyone is unconscious, except for one guy who stretches and wakes up like he was just napping. He says, when I heard Kill fought Furin, I came to watch. But why did they lose before I got here? Furin's members have gotten weak, but they were just first years. He then says, did they really think Kill is finished? Looking at Notori, he adds, I never should have given him charge. He pulls out his Kill jacket. He has cool tattoos on his arms and shoulders and looks scary. And that's where the episode ends.
Alright guys, welcome to this video. So finally, a new episode of Windbreaker is here. At the beginning of the episode, we see a scene of Sakura walking on a rope. Now, we've seen this scene before, probably in Season 1, Episode 1. In this scene, he talks about how he has always been alone and believed that, to be accepted as the kind of person he is, he had to act a certain way. He basically thinks he must not fall off the rope because no one is going to save him. If he falls, he'll fail. That's why his muscles are always tensed up, and his breathing is always heavy. But by now, he's used to it. Living as a human being is really difficult. Older people often say that, but maybe life is just like that. However, if he ever finds a place where he can stand peacefully, breathe freely without tension, and without the fear of falling, then maybe. At this point, the scene shifts to the school. Sakura has finally come to school, and all the students are talking about him. Honestly, it's a bit strange. Why strange? Well, I'll cover that in the review video. But for now, let's continue with the episode. Subara brings protein for Sakura. He thinks if Sakura had come to school, he could have given it to him directly, but now he'll have to go to his house. Then, Sakura opens the door and comes inside. Everyone greets him with, "Good morning," and gathers around him. Sakura doesn't say much at first, so they wonder if he's still sick. Sakura gathers some courage and says he wants to tell them something. He always thought doing everything alone was normal, that it was the only way to live. But now he realizes he can't do everything by himself. Because of that, he started getting angry at himself, and he ended up taking that anger out on them. He says he's weak, he's a lousy person, and he understands if they're disappointed in him for being their grade rep. But this is who he is. He admits that he has caused them a lot of problems before too, so he wants to apologize. Hearing this, everyone pauses for a moment. Then Sugishita comes from behind and kicks Sakura, asking why he's standing in the way. Anya also joins in and starts hitting him playfully. Basically, Anya and the others knock him down and start scolding him, saying he's stupid and crazy. They tell him that just because he shared his feelings, it doesn't mean they're disappointed in him. Why would he even think that? It's not like they're upset just because he helped them before. They tell him not to think like that. They admit he might be a bit of an idiot and a little annoying, but he's always willing to do anything for his friends, and that's why he's cool. They all like him. Then we see an animation where Sakura is falling off the rope, but this time, he's not alone, his friends are there with him. He realizes that after expressing his true feelings, he feels a lot better, even happy. He feels lighter being with his friends. They then decide that as a punishment for Sakura, they're all going to go out and eat something together after school. Everyone starts suggesting different food options and shouting like crazy. They ask Sakura what he wants to eat, and it turns out he likes rice omelets. Then we see Nair looking kind of lost, so they ask him what's wrong. Nair says he's just feeling a bit off today. They all head to Café Pajo's, Kotowa's cafe. Kotowa gets a bit worried, saying, "How am I supposed to make so many rice omelets? Are you guys crazy? Why not just order tea instead?" Then she notices Sakura is there too, and he says he wants to return the favor for what she said before. Kotowa asks if he's still feeling sick, and one of his friends takes him inside while everyone starts eating rice omelets. They decide to share their weaknesses, inspired by Sakura opening up. Takamashi starts by saying he's terrified of bugs. Sugishita admits he's super scared of ghosts, to the point where he can't go to the bathroom in the dark, or even close his eyes when shampooing. When they ask Soa, he says, "I'm not scared of anything. There's nothing like that. I don't have any weakness. But if you keep asking, then fine, yes, that thing scares me." Basically, that's part of the skit, and honestly, it's not even true. Now you already know Nairai has information about everything, every person. So he checks his notebook and says, "Well, so I think you hate Nato." Hearing that, So is shocked and says, "What? That's not true at all. Nairai, where did you hear this nonsense?" So everyone realizes it is true. They ask, "What's natto?" It's some kind of food, and maybe he once got food poisoning from it. So everyone tries to stop So because he was trying to grab the guy who was going to get natto. Seeing all this, Sakura laughs. And I think it's the first time in the whole series we've seen him laugh. Everyone becomes really happy seeing Sakura smile, since it's so rare. Then Yumimiya arrives outside. He sees that all the first-year students are having a party. He thinks of going inside, but Hiragi stops him and says, "You're not allowed in." Sakura sees Hiragi at the gate, and that he's pushing Yumimiya away. Then a person comes in. It's Sabaki. Wait, not a girl, it's actually a guy. What do I even say? You'll find out later. The next day, Yumimiya calls a general meeting on the rooftop, inviting all students from 1st to 3rd year. Everyone who wasn't on patrol duty shows up. We're told by Hiragi that Yumimiya regularly does these meetings to connect with people, and also to show off his garden and how well his plants are growing. Sakura goes to get a drink and sees Sabaki standing there. He hesitates a bit, and just then Sabaki rushes up to him. She's really tall, which makes Sakura a bit nervous. Sabaki says, "Finally, we've met." But her voice is super manly. So Sakura says, "Wait, you're a guy?" She introduces herself, and Nairi asks if she knows Sakura. Sabaki says yes, she does. Then she starts complimenting Sakura his height, how well his uniform fits. He's confused, like, "Why are you so shocked, Sakura? Weren't you at the meet and greet event earlier? The one with the 4 devas?" He says, "Didn't you think it was weird then? This is a boys' school after all." But honestly, there was someone who looked like a mom-type character there. So how did she even get in? Weird scene. Let me know in the comments what you think. Then Sabaki introduces her next-in-commands, Sirios, the older brother, and Oriel, the younger one. These are her closest guys. They're all talking while Yumimiya serves pork soup to everyone. Seeing this, Sabaki starts fixing her hair and makeup and walks over to Yumimiya. It seems she's interested in Yumimiya and says something like, "I think I'm falling in love again." Sakura gets super flustered hearing this. Yumimiya asks what's wrong with him. He realizes that Sakura doesn't handle romantic gestures well. Even small things make him blush. So everyone knows what Sabaki is like, and now even Sakura understands. She says, "Since you responded well to my feelings, will you go on a date with me?" Sakura completely freaks out. "A what? A date?" And that's where the episode ends. The next episode will come next week. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye. You already know that there was a fight involving Rokusuke Koenji, and after that, they all returned to the classroom. The next day's scene is shown where everyone is eating and drinking peacefully. However, Sakura is nowhere to be seen. People ask about him, so Ayanokoji says, "Alright, let's call him and find out." When Ayanokoji calls Sakura and talks to him, he realizes that he might have caught a cold and is feeling very sick. So Sudo and Ayanokoji decide to visit him at home. At first, they don't know exactly where his house is, but they have his location. They go searching for him and bring some supplies along. They discuss that Sakura had mentioned he's not originally from this town, so they assumed his house would be far away. But that's not the case. It's possible that his family relocated for work. When they finally reach the place, they find an old building that looks like it's mainly for single residents. Sudo even calls it a haunted house. They finally reach Sakura's room and try ringing the bell, but when it doesn't work, they just open the door. Sudo peeks inside and notices Sakura's shoes, confirming it's his apartment. He starts shouting, "Hey Sakura, are you here?" Ayanokoji tries to stop him, saying it's not right to just barge into someone's house when they aren't even sure it's his. But Sudo goes inside anyway. He explains, "Think about it, from the looks of it, Sakura lives alone, and worse, he's really sick. He might not even be able to move. There's no one here to help him. Something bad could have happened." Hearing this, Ayanokoji also gets scared, thinking he might have died. They both start panicking and yelling, but just then Sakura opens the door, irritated, asking, "Why are you guys barging in?" Sakura looks terribly sick. Sudo helps him back to bed, and Ayanokoji brings in the supplies. They notice that his house is almost empty. He barely has any belongings. They ask, "Do you live alone?" Sakura snaps back, "Is that a problem?" They ask if he has medicine for his cold, but he says no. Even though they brought food for him, Sakura refuses to eat anything. They start wondering why he's living alone in such a place. Ayanokoji takes out a bag containing "Get well soon" gifts and notes from their classmates, hoping this will lift his spirits. Ayanokoji tells him, "You don't have to carry everything alone. You can rely on others too." But Sakura insists, "This is nothing new. I've always dealt with things by myself. I'll be fine after some rest. Don't worry." Sudo understands his point and says, "Alright, we'll leave the stuff here and go." Although Ayanokoji isn't completely convinced, Sudo pulls him away. They close the gate and leave. On the way back, it's obvious that Ayanokoji is still very worried about Sakura. He says, "Why are we leaving? Aren't you worried about him?" Sudo replies, "Look, it's not like that. I don't know what happened to him in the past, but judging by his room and his condition, he's been living alone for a long time." Sudo then asks, "Tell me, if you got lost and could only use one thing, what would you choose?" Ayanokoji says, "My phone. I could find my location and share it with others." Sudo says, "Exactly. But Sakura doesn't even know how to properly use a phone. For him, smartphones practically don't exist. It's the same with friends. He doesn't even understand what friends are or how they help." Sudo reassures him, "Don't worry. If he doesn't come to school tomorrow, we'll visit him again." Ayanokoji is still anxious and says, "I just want him to know that he can rely on us if he's ever in trouble. I promised Sakura that I would help him reach the top. Maybe I can't help him much in fights, but I can at least support him when he's sick." Meanwhile, back at Sakura's place, his water supply has run out. He checks the gift bag and finds lots of heartfelt messages and gifts from his classmates saying, "Get well soon," and "Take care." Seeing this, Sakura is overwhelmed. He thinks about how he's always managed everything alone and never needed anyone. He questions himself. How can it be that liking people can cause such vulnerability? Just then, he hears his door opening and someone rushing in. He gets scared and screams, but it's just Kushida. Kushida has brought freshly cooked food for him. Seeing the food, Sakura's mouth starts watering. It smells delicious. As Sakura tries to eat, the food is too hot, and Kushida teases him a bit. Kushida says, "I never thought anyone lived here. You don't even have curtains, and there's barely any stuff in your room. At least you're hungry, so eat up." She also mentions, "Ayanokoji was very worried about you. I met him in Sudo, and they told me about you." Sakura grumbles, "That wasn't necessary." Hearing that, Kushida gets annoyed, gives him a playful smack on the forehead, and puts a cooling pad to bring down his fever. She scolds, "Don't you get it? Everyone's worried about you. I even heard that you got into a fight yesterday. You're tough. Maybe that's why you caught a fever." Sakura says, "No, it's not because of the fight." Kushida jokes, "Or maybe you've started liking your friends so much that you froze up, and that's why you got sick?" Hearing this, Sakura gets embarrassed and angry, saying, "That's nonsense. Who told you that?" Kushida laughs and says, "Emiya told me." Sakura scoffs, "That's just nonsense. These soft feelings can't freeze me." Kushida smiles and says, "But you did freeze, didn't you?" She continues, "Anyway, what's done is done. Why not try a different approach? Why not try trusting the people around you a little more?" Sakura refuses. "No, I can handle everything myself. This is my problem, I'll deal with it." At that, Kushida starts taking away the food, and Sakura protests, "Hey, what are you doing? I was eating." Kushida jokes, "Oh really? You were? You don't even have the basics, not even a stove or a pot to cook. Everyone else sent you gifts and supplies while you were resting. And I made this food for you, thanks to them." They made sure you had time to rest, and when you woke up, you would have both food and water ready. Sakura says. That's not necessary. I can make my own food, Kushida says. Look, the point is not that you can easily do all this work by yourself, but the others have chosen to do these things for you so that you can focus on other things. Everyone has limited time, so they can't do everything themselves. Okay, so because of this, you should rely on others and let them handle a bit of the work. I know, in the beginning, it can feel quite scary, trusting others. Here, we see the next morning scene. Sakura is ready, and on the other hand, we see Kaji's classroom scene. He's told that someone is here to meet him. Sakura has come to meet him. He says, I want to talk to you. Here, Kaji's classmates are quite impressed and start teasing Kaji, saying, Oh, you've become a senpai now. A junior is coming to meet you for advice. We are shown that Kaji's classmates know that Sakura was also part of the fight with the Sistrians, and despite being a first year, he performed really well. Kaji calls Inamoto and Kasumi over, telling them to keep these people tied here, and that no one should follow him. Kaji takes Sakura with him and asks, What's up? Sakura tells him, When we were fighting Keel, I felt like I could handle everything alone, but it didn't happen. In the end, I needed all of you. But if we talk about you, you leave everything to your vice captains, whether it's fighting or anything else. You go on patrol, meaning you let them do all the work. How do you do this? How can you give them all the tasks like that? Kaji takes him to a vending machine and buys coffee. Afterward, they sit on the roof. Kaji says, For a conversation like this, we need to be somewhere high and alone. Right? They sit down, and Kaji says, So you were asking how I can rely on others? It's simple, because I can't do everything myself. Sakura says, What nonsense are you talking about? By saying that, you're admitting you're weak, like you can't do anything. Here, Kaji snatches the bottle and goes downstairs. He gives it a new label, writing green tea on the coffee bottle, and asks Sakura, What's this? Sakura says, It's tea, I think green tea. Kaji says, You're right, but do you know that there's coffee inside it? No matter how much I say that it's green tea, it's still coffee inside. This is like your situation. You just put a label on yourself saying you can do everything, but deep inside, you know you can't, and that's why you'll need others. And it's only because you're scared inside. Sakura thinks. These feelings, I had forgotten a long time ago. Rejection, denial, pushing people away, and disappointment. These things had been far from me. Basically, I had forgotten that these feelings existed. So how could that be? I showed my strength, and then people started liking me, and they made me a great captain. But when I couldn't live up to their expectations, it hurt so much that I had to admit it in front of everyone. Kaji says, Look, I don't know how people see you, but they know you had a tough time. Sakura says, What nonsense are you talking about? Kaji says, Obviously, they don't know everything. You shouted so loud that day, telling everyone they could blame you. It's just like those dogs and cats who get scared and are ready to attack at once. I've heard that ghosts live on this roof. Once a guy came at night and saw a woman dressed in a one-piece outfit standing here. The next morning, when people came to investigate, they only found a piece of cloth tied, nothing else. Sakura says, Oh, is that so? Maybe he just misunderstood and assumed it was a ghost. Kaji says, Exactly. You've assumed that people will reject you for no reason. You never know what others think about you. But look at your friends. When you told everyone your feelings, you felt weak, but even then, your friends didn't reject you. They accepted you not because of your abilities, but because of who you are. But even now, you're living with the fear of rejection. You should look at how they are. I don't know what happened to you in the past, but I can understand this completely. That's why I'm telling you all this. So trust those people, believe what they show you, don't make assumptions. And crap, I think I said too much. Suddenly, there's the sound of clapping from behind. Omi and others have been listening to all this. Omi says, What's up, Kaji? Amazing job, man. You really hit the heart with that one. Sakura and Kaji get really shocked hearing this. Omi then says, "Sorry, we didn't want to listen to your conversation secretly." Kaji starts getting really scared, and Omi says, "What's the matter? Kaji, you've won my heart, and you're talking like an old man now." Hearing that, Kaji gets even more shocked and punches Omi in the face, which we see from different angles. He's really scared and runs away. Omi says, "Well, if you look at it, Kaji has grown a lot. His punch was pretty awesome too." Hiragi says, "He should have punched you more." Omi says, "So Sakura, what do you think?" After hearing Kaji's thoughts, Sakura says, "I also can't do a lot of things alone. I always do weird things, but I rely on others. I know that people will accept me. If there's something I can't do, they do it for me. And if there's something they can't do, I do it for them. We all rely on each other. That's why we're here today." Then, the conversation moves on, and they talk about how Kaji gave great advice. Hiragi says, "Yeah, that's true. Why, senpai?" It reminds me of the past when Hiragi gave the same example. Kaji had brought coffee and other things and taken him to the roof. They had the same conversation back then. That's why now Kaji says the same thing. For such talks, we need a calm, secluded place, a bit higher up. The episode ends here. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.
At the beginning of the episode, we see a scene with earrings and other girly items. There's a boy who picks up one of the earrings and says that he has always liked cute and beautiful things. However, at some point, he stopped saying this out loud. He doesn't even remember when. Basically, this scene shows us Tsubaki's childhood. Now, as you might remember from the last episode, Tsubaki had asked Sakura if he would go on a date with her. So obviously, now we see Tsubaki, Suwa, and Sakura heading somewhere. Sakura is feeling quite shy and says he's not going on a date. Tsubaki teases him, saying, "Oh, so you wanted it to be just the two of us?" Hearing this, Sakura starts freaking out. Then Nira asks, "Where exactly are we going?" Tsubaki explains they are going to meet an old man named Ito, who lost his wife last year. Since then, he's been in a state of deep shock and depression. Usually, she takes her disciples to visit him, but occasionally she brings new students too, so it's nothing to worry about. Anyway, they ask what they'll do once they reach there. Tsubaki says they'll help with some household chores and should behave like kids. Ito appears and seems very cheerful upon seeing Tsubaki. He says, "Najona gave me doraki today, so let's eat together." Everyone starts wondering, this man doesn't look depressed at all, he seems genuinely happy. Then Ito asks, "Who are these kids? I've never seen them before." Tsubaki explains that they're first-year students. Ito compliments Nira's hair, Sua's earrings, which have coral, and Sakura's eyes. Looking at Sakura's eyes reminds him of a trip to the beach with his wife, which was very romantic. They stayed there until sunset, and when they returned home, they still had sand on them. They enter his house, which is quite messy with no lights and stuff lying around, so the kids start helping him clean. Sakura has nothing to do, so Ito gives him something to hold and tells him to go to another room while he makes tea. When Sakura enters the room, it's full of dust and clothes. He thinks, even if someone wore a new outfit every day for a year, these clothes wouldn't run out. Ito comes in and says, "Oops, sorry, not this room, the other one." Sakura comments on how dusty the room is and says it's clear no one wears these clothes anymore. Then, Tsubaki asks Ito to go on a date too. She says she remembers he used to dress up really nicely. She suggests they go to a cafe or theater. It's revealed that Ito's wife was very stylish and loved fashion. Because of her, Ito also tried new outfits to impress her. He even wore a floral pattern one-piece dress once, which looked odd but his wife loved it and wore it often. Tsubaki says,
she must have really liked it. Ito replies, yeah, maybe she did. They had a happy life together and loved each other very much. Eventually, it's time for the group to leave. Ito thanks Sakura because his eyes reminded him of many memories with his wife. He says thank you so much and they leave. On the way back, they talk about how Ito didn't seem depressed at all, he looked very motivated and happy. Tsubaki says he's definitely better than last year, but she feels that sometimes he still struggles inside. And obviously, if you ask directly, he won't tell you. She just wants to bring back his old spark. Suo asks, why are you so invested in him? Tsubaki explains that they, Ito and his wife, are the only two people who ever loved and accepted her for who she really is. We're then shown a flashback of Tsubaki's childhood again. The girls are playing with earrings and other things, but Tsubaki's friends don't value those things. Tsubaki clearly has a feminine side. She wants to be more like a girl, and there's nothing wrong with that. But of course, she can't tell her friends. One day while walking on the road, she finds a beautiful earring. As she picks it up, a man approaches, dressed in a pink shirt with jewels and accessories. Tsubaki wonders why a guy is dressed like that. The man turns out to be Ito. He tells Tsubaki that the earring belongs to his wife and thanks her for finding it. Then, Ito invites Tsubaki over for doraki. Later, his wife arrives and thanks Tsubaki too. Tsubaki compliments her clothes, which makes Ito very happy. He says, wow, you seem to really love fashion. He tells Tsubaki to visit again next time. So, after that, Tsubaki starts spending a lot of consistent time with these people. One time, he sees that Ito's wife is applying lipstick, and seeing that, he gets a bit excited. When she asks, how do I look? Tsubaki replies, I'm a boy, how would I know? Then he reaches for the lipstick, but suddenly gets scared when Ito's wife comes from behind and says, don't worry, if you want to try it, go ahead. Then she applies the lipstick on his lips. After that, Tsubaki starts crying. I mean, what can I say, man? This is so confusing. Anyway, moving on. Ito comes in and says, wow, you're looking beautiful. And Tsubaki starts crying again, saying, what should I do? I'm a boy. I shouldn't feel happy seeing myself in lipstick. Boys aren't supposed to feel happy about this. How can I be normal in front of my family and friends? Then Ito's wife tells him, you should know that this is all normal. Do you know about high heels? Even though they're seen as women's wear now, when they were originally made, they weren't specified for men or women. Originally, it was men, especially those who rode horses and shot arrows, who wore them. And if we talk about lipstick and makeup, they weren't initially labeled as for women either. Men used to use them too. There were no labels. So, we can do whatever we want based on what makes us happy. Basically, this might have been some kind of transformation for him. But Ito's wife says, you should do the things that make you happy, and not overthink everything. They say, we love you for who you are. So, Tsubaki tells them that they completely accepted and loved him, and now it's his turn to do something for them. Hearing this, Nier starts crying badly and says that they will also help him. The next day, they come again, and of course, Ito's memories start resurfacing. So, he brings out his photo album and starts showing the photos. They notice that the granny mostly doesn't show her face in the pictures. Ito explains that she didn't like getting her photo taken, so he used to secretly click her pictures. Tsubaki asks, do you have any pictures together? Like a wedding photo? Then Ito brings a picture from their garden. Sakura, after seeing the picture, spits out his coffee out of embarrassment. He's really blushing because the gestures in the picture are quite intimate. Tsubaki asks, how does this picture look to you? Sakura replies, it looks like you two are happy and having fun. She looks like Tsubaki when she used to look at Omimiya. Tsubaki is impressed and asks, was I really that cute? She says, Grandpa, Omimiya is the boy I always talk to you about. Ito starts crying and says, I can't believe it. Tsubaki asks, what happened? Basically, in Ito's mind, he always loved her deeply, but since it was an arranged marriage, Yui never really expressed her feelings. So he always doubted whether she truly loved him. After her death, this anxiety increased. But now, seeing this photo where she's looking at him so lovingly, he feels some relief. Then Sue says, where was this picture taken? I noticed that none of the trees in your garden had flowers, except this one. Is this dogwood? Ito says he liked gardening, and Yui had asked him to plant a dogwood tree. She even got a picture clicked that day. Sue then asks if anything special happened that day. We're shown a scene where Yui, wearing a hat, is planting a flower. Ito arrives and starts trimming his nails. He says, you look amazing when you're absorbed in fashion and doing something with your heart. I wish you looked at me the same way, with love. He thinks to himself that even though Yui says she likes Ito, she never really looked at him lovingly. That's why he always felt tense. Then Sue shares his theory, I think she was angry with you. Planting the dogwood was her way of expressing romance. Her way of asking, do you think I don't love you? Tsubaki adds, Grandpa, how could you think she didn't love you? She stayed with you even after that. Obviously, she loved you. Ito realizes that his doubts were wrong and that Yui had always loved him. Nier asks Sakura, what do you think? Sakura says, look, someone who doesn't care wouldn't make such a face. That means she valued you. Ito agrees, saying, yes, I think you're right. I was always very close to her. I was such a fool. I think I was wrong. So, this story ends here. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.
At the beginning of the episode, we see a girl whose clothes are torn, and it looks like she's running away from some thugs. Then we're shown Sakura's scene. These people are heading out somewhere for the weekend, they've been invited there. Soa and Neirei are also part of this group. Sakura is feeling shy, which is understandable since he's nervous about the meetup. This is all pretty normal. Neirei explains that Tsubaki invited them, saying she has a favorite restaurant she wants to visit. Apparently, she really loves sweets. Based on the situation, Soa asks Neirei, hey, what happened to your face? Did someone hit you? You can tell me, you know. Neirei replies, oh no, it's nothing like that. I just fell, that's all. Sakura responds, you fell. And Soa was with you at that time. Neirei hurriedly pushes Sakura away, saying, don't worry about it. Come on, let's go. As they walk, Neirei says, we need to take a left from here and keep going straight. Soa asks, are you sure we're going the right way? Neirei says, obviously, yes. Where else would it be? But then they notice there are lots of clubs and bars around, and the street is called Key Street, which shocks them and makes them blush out of embarrassment. It's a place meant for adults. There are many maid cafes around, and in one of them, a girl refers to Sakura as master, which really embarrasses both Sakura and Neirei. Soa calmly says, we don't need this. We're underage. We can't drink. They enter a narrow alley, and Neirei says, I think we should get out of here. I feel like I made a mistake. We should confirm with Tsubaki. But Sakura insists, are you crazy? We're not leaving. We'll keep going. Suddenly, the same girl from earlier jumps down from above and kind of lands on Sakura. They both fall to the ground. Sakura is startled. The girl apologizes, asking, are you okay? Did you get hurt? The group notices that her clothes are torn and she's bleeding. They ask her if she's alright and what happened, but she runs off, saying, "I'm sorry, I have to leave." Just then, some people appear from the front. One of them says, "No matter how much money I spend, it's never worth it. I was told to bring a girl, but I'm not even getting paid well. Why is that?" These guys surround the girl and ask, "Are these your friends?" She quickly replies, No, they're not my friends. I don't even know them." But Sakura stands up and says, "Yes, we are her friends. What are you going to do about it?" The man responds, "This kid doesn't even know who he's messing with. Normally, you wouldn't survive, but today I'm feeling generous. Just hand the girl over peacefully, and we won't fight." The girl says, Okay, there's no need to fight. I'll come with you." Neirei and Tsubaki try to stop her. Sakura says, "Yeah. And what if she doesn't go with you? What will you do then?" The man says, "People like you waste my time, and I don't even get paid enough for it." Sakura tells Suo, "You look after Neirei and the girl. I'll handle these guys." Neirei is both upset and inspired by this and says, "No, I can take care of myself. You two should focus on the fight." Sakura responds, "Look, Neirei, there's no need for that." But Suo cuts in, "Enough, Sakura. You heard Neirei. Let's trust him." Sakura remembers what Kotowa told him, that he should trust the people around him. So this time, they put their trust in Neirei. Finally, the fight begins. It's a really cool action sequence. You can watch the entire fight scene on Telegram. I've uploaded the episode there. The fight is intense. Suddenly, one of the guys runs toward Neirei, and understandably, Neirei gets scared. Sakura starts to run to save him, but then remembers what Suo said, to trust Neirei. So he focuses on his own fight. Meanwhile, Neirei stands his ground while the guy keeps charging at him. He remembers Suo's advice to keep his eyes open. At the last moment, he ducks down, and the attacker falls. Then we get a flashback to when Neirei was walking home with Suo. Suo had said, "Should we go home together?" Neirei recalls how happy he felt that Sakura was feeling better now. You might remember the cafe moment when they were joking around, and Sakura smiled for the first time. That moment was special for all of them. As they're talking about it, Suo says, "Okay, Sakura's story is kind of sorted out. What about you? You've been acting weird since this morning." Neirei confesses that he wants to stay with Sakura and help him. He made a promise to help Sakura reach the top of Furon, but he hasn't been able to do much. Still, he wants to support him. When Neirei first met Sakura, Sakura told him he wasn't useless, that he was a capable person. Neirei says he wants to live up to those words and stay by his side. So he asks Suo, "Will you please teach me how to fight? I'm begging you." Suo replies, "You need to work on your self-esteem, but alright. Before we start fighting, you need to learn self-defense. You'll have to try really hard. So get all the necessary bandages and stuff ready." Later, they meet again, and Suo says, "Let's start your self-defense training. But wouldn't it be amazing if we could beat our opponents just using self-defense?" Neirei asks, "Is that really possible?" Suo smiles and replies, "Let's find out." "Alright then, let's become a pill bug. Do you know how to do that?" "I'll show you," says Suo. "Now put that book down and try to punch me." Neirei says, "What?" Suo replies, "Don't worry, nothing will happen." Neirei charges at him and tries to punch him. Suo explains that most people, when trying to punch, target the face. That's why if you suddenly duck down, they lose control of their legs and can't handle the sudden obstacle, often falling flat on their faces. But Suo doesn't let Neirei fall and catches him in time. Neirei says, "You should have told me all this beforehand." Suo says, "Practical learning is more effective, right?" Neirei gets excited and says, "This is amazing. Anyone can do this. But Soa tells him, no, not everyone can. There's a condition to it. Just then, another guy comes to punch Nerei. Soa says, you always have to keep your eyes open. Never close your eyes. We're shown the earlier scene again. Nerei didn't close his eyes and used the move effectively, causing the attacker to fall. But another attacker appears, and Soa saves Nerei, saying, not yet, he's still in training. These are really cool scenes. Soa and Sakura are both fighting impressively. Sakura sees the technique and gets excited, saying, if he can do it, then I can too. When two guys charge at him, he ducks, and they punch each other instead. Sakura is fighting everyone. One guy tries to attack him, and Sakura kicks him down. All the attackers are taken care of. Nerei sits down and says, sorry, I got a bit too relieved. Soa reassures him, saying, don't worry. You did great for your first time. Sakura says, that's a dangerous technique you taught him. Soa responds, yeah, it's the pillbug strategy. Nerei says, but when you do it, it looks so cool. I must have looked silly. Sakura says, no, you didn't look silly at all. Then they ask the girl why those guys were chasing her. Just then, a man in a suit attacks them, but Soa and Sakura block him. They quickly realize that this guy is on a different level, super strong and really angry because Shizuka got hurt, and her beautiful skin was damaged. The girl's name is Shizuka, and she works here. The man doesn't listen to reason, but Shizuka slaps him and says, why don't you ever listen to me? These people didn't harm me, they saved me. She scolds him, saying, you always act without thinking, attacking people randomly. Then we're told their backstory. Shizuka sings at a nearby club, and the man is a waiter there. His name is Nakamura. While they're talking, Sakura feels embarrassed, wondering why everyone is so lovey-dovey these days. Suddenly, someone sneaks up behind them. Sakura pushes his friends aside and gets ready to fight, but someone else takes the attacker down first. A whole gang shows up. Nakamura says, sorry, I messed up. Nerei is shocked, saying, so many people just showed up. Shizuka says, don't worry, they're all on our side. They ask, wow, you took down those guys all by yourself? Nakamura replies, no, these people took care of them. They apologize, saying, because of our chairman's mistake, you had to suffer. They ask, who's the chairman? It turns out Nakamura is the chairman of the gang Rapu Ikiza. Nerei is shocked, Rapu Ikiza. Nakamura says that there's been an ongoing violent feud between Rapu Ikiza and Furin. When Nerei hears that, he panics, thinking they'll find out he's from Furin. But Nakamura stays chill. He says, oh, you're from Furin. That's cool. You guys are really strong. Especially you saved our lives right after meeting us. I like you, man. You're tough and skilled. Sakura gets embarrassed and says, no, I didn't save you. You were just in my way, so I moved you aside. Shizuka then asks, you're from Furin. Do you know Tsubaki? Nerei replies, wait, you know Tsubaki? She says, actually, we work together at the same club. She performs on stage there. They all head to the club, where we see the most cringe scene humanity could witness. One guy is dancing like a girl. This is the kind of thing I don't like. I'd rather skip or delete this part. Sakura expresses exactly how I feel, like, what's going on? And the episode ends right there. Next episode will come next week. If you liked the video, do like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye. The people here are already seated to eat. It's a free treat for them, and they're all happily enjoying the food. Although this area is surrounded by some adults and bars, Sakura and Soa don't really mind. Meanwhile, Tsubaki starts talking about Itu. She says that he's improved a lot. He now dresses nicely and goes to plays and events, basically spending his time well. He says he's collecting memories for his wife so he can share all the stories with her later, and he thanks the three of them for it. On the side, the Sakaki brothers are also there. They're like Tsubaki's disciples and always stay with her. They're also happily enjoying the free food and have emptied many plates already. They've eaten a lot and are clearly having a good time. Tsubaki finally tells them to stop, saying enough is enough. Then Neirei praises a lousy dance, obviously just pretending, because the guy had at least put in a lot of effort. He was getting beaten up earlier outside, and now he's dancing in girls' clothes for entertainment. He shares that he had begged the manager to let him work and dance here. Eventually, after a lot of pleading, the manager allowed him to perform. Kanji confirms this, saying he remembers how that guy didn't want to leave that day, and after all the crying, the manager gave in. It shows just how shameless someone can be. Neirei says he heard that Kanji and some first years had beaten up a few Yaka guys. Kanji agrees, saying they helped him a lot by handling the whole situation. They explain that this is a place of entertainment, and if someone tries to create trouble, Kanji handles it all. Even though Neirei thinks it feels like Furin, it's actually different. Kanji explains that here, when they face hardships, new people who share their mindset join them. On the other hand, Furin already has an established place where people join willingly. That's the key difference. The Sakaki brothers joke, asking Kanji if he's planning to recruit these kids into his team. Kanji replies that it's not like that, but if they're too young, they're welcome to join him, no big deal. Just then, Shizuka steps onto the stage, all prepared. And this, he says, is what a girl is supposed to be, true beauty. He doesn't say much more, assuming the audience will understand. Shizuka starts singing, and as expected, her voice is stunning. Everyone is shocked and basically becomes a fan of her voice. The song is briefly played, and he mentions that he'll share the full episode on his Telegram channel. You might have already heard it. After some time, Shizuka comes to meet Tsubaki. She has an injury on her hand. Tsubaki asks her what happened, and she says she fell. A flashback shows that Kanji had told the three of them not to tell Tsubaki about it or she would get very angry, which could lead to a serious situation. Kanji warns them that if Tsubaki gets angry, it will be a big problem. Besides, they shouldn't drag Furin into their issues. Suddenly, a guy comes running and says that the same people who had caused trouble before are back, and this time, they've brought even more people and are causing destruction. Tsubaki stands up to go help, but Kanji stops him, asking him to stay and protect Shizuka instead, since the situation outside could be dangerous and unpredictable. So, he leaves Tsubaki and the Sakaki brothers inside as protection. However, Sakura quietly gets up and leaves, saying that if it's the same guys from before, he has to go because he was part of that fight too. Soa and Neirei also decide to go along. Tsubaki says he doesn't know what they're hiding from him, but whatever they're planning, they better do it properly. Then it's revealed that the Roppochi gang doesn't have many members, but despite their small numbers, they fight extremely well. The fight is nearly about to begin, and the top 5 fighters of Roppochi are showing impressive combat skills. At least they're not fighting in frocks, he jokes. These guys are here for Shizuka. As soon as they mention her name, Kanji goes wild and starts attacking them like a madman. His restlessness is clearly shown, and seeing his aura, Sakura gets really excited. It reminds him of Yumiya. He understands that people who are at the top have that kind of attitude and aura. Everyone here starts fighting full on. They all begin to brawl. They get really impressed by Nakamura and Kanji, especially Soa and Sakura, who start fighting really well. Sakura joins Kanji in the fight, and the two begin fighting together as a team. They coordinate and take on the enemies together impressively. The members of Raposa are shocked to see Sakura's movements and how well he's supporting Kanji. Soa says, of course, he's our great captain. Then this guy compliments Soa as well, saying he's really stylish. But then he asks about the kid in the back, is he okay? Obviously, Nerei is just standing in the back because he can't do much. Soa had told him one important thing: what matters more than winning a fight is staying safe. Losing doesn't matter as much as surviving. Keeping this in mind, Nerei stands back during the fight. Soa reassures him, saying, "Don't worry, remember who your teacher is." As the fight continues, Nerei thinks to himself, can he ever become like them one day? As the current group of enemies is defeated, more people show up. But these are different, they belong to another team. They recognize them as the Roppo Ichisa gang, the one that wears suits. They mock them, asking if wearing suits gives them superpowers or something. One of them jokes that maybe they should try wearing suits too. Kanji asks, "How many of you are there? You just keep coming." One guy responds, "Oh no, we're not with the others. Actually, those guys failed to finish the job, so we were chosen instead. Since the job wasn't completed, our price has also gone up." He continues, "We don't want to fight you. Just hand over the girl peacefully." They introduce themselves as the Gravel Gang, and each of them has a cloth tied around their hand. They're from the Sanaba district. This Gravel Gang is really dangerous. Nerei knows about them. That area had gone through a pandemic and the economy had crashed. Crime had risen sharply. People stopped going to school or working. That's why they formed a team. The gang is called Gravel, and they'll do anything for money. So they peacefully ask to hand over Shizuka. But obviously, our guys aren't going to surrender. One of the Gravel members says, "Just hand over the girl quietly, and there's no need to fight. You all look tired anyway, and your team is nothing compared to us. What's the point of fighting and getting your faces smashed in? I'm giving you a fair deal, just give us the girl." But clearly, our heroes don't care that their comrades have already taken down some enemies. Still, they're not ready to give up. After all, they don't fight to win, they fight to protect. That's why Kanji says, "Do you really think it'll be that easy to reach Shizuka? Even if you defeat us?" They're not ready to compromise. One of the enemies says, "Then I guess there should be a good prize for the boss fight." Kanji gets angry when they compare Shizuka to a prize. He becomes serious, ready to fight, and steps forward. And this episode ends here. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye. Tsubaki and her friends were trying to lift Shizuka's mood, but her mind was still caught up in the fight, so she wasn't really paying attention to them. Sensing her unease, Tsubaki's vice commander stepped in and told her not to worry so much, encouraging her to trust Kanji. But Shizuka remained restless and excused herself to the bathroom. Meanwhile, the vice commander asked Tsubaki if today's battle had anything to do with Shizuka personally. Was that why she was so upset? Tsubaki replied with a smile, saying that girls have their own secrets, and it's better not to interfere too much. However, they soon realized that Shizuka still hadn't returned, and that's because she had run off toward the fight. At the battleground, the Roppo gang was putting up a strong fight against the Gravel gang, but they were also severely weakened, making it hard for them to hold on. Sakura jumped in to support them, not wanting the same thing to happen to them as had happened to his friends during the fight with Keel. Lost in thought, he let his guard down, and an enemy almost landed a blow. But Kanji arrived just in time to save him. So consumed by the intensity of the battle, Kanji even came close to attacking Sakura before stopping himself at the last moment. Realizing the danger they were in, Kanji told Sakura and the others to return to the club. He had promised Sugi that he'd bring them all back safely, and he intended to keep that promise. The members of the Roppo gang agreed, but Sakura resisted. Kanji pleaded with him, reminding him of the promise and urging him to let him handle things. With no words left to say, Sakura quietly agreed, and Soa began to escort him back. Even then, Sakura was reluctant. Suo explained that they had to leave to go help Shizuka, and though Sakura was conflicted, he realized they had no better option. Just then, Shizuka appeared and firmly demanded that the fight stop. Tanakamura questioned her sudden appearance, and Shizuka stunned everyone by offering to go with the Gravel Gang in exchange for the Roppo Gang's safety. Tanaya quickly stopped her, trying to make her understand that even if she felt powerless right now, everyone was fighting for her. If she went with the enemy, it would make their sacrifices meaningless. Shizuka explained that she knew everyone was fighting for her, but she wanted to repay their kindness. When she had first come to this place, Kanji had accepted her without hesitation, simply after hearing her sing. That moment made her feel like she belonged. Everyone had shown her love and care, which helped her believe that she, too, was worthy of love. And here, she had even experienced her first love. She didn't want anyone to get hurt for her, and asked them to let her go. At that point, Suzuri laughed coldly and told her she was too poor to dream of things like love and happiness. He reminded her that she came from the same background as them. When a powerful man tried to buy her, she had run away. According to him, people like them shouldn't have dreams, they should accept their reality and follow orders. These words enraged Kanji, who couldn't bear to hear it. Suzuri then ordered his men to capture Kanji. He turned to Shizuka and said that if she came to him willingly, he would stop everything. As some of Suzuri's men began to move toward her, Shizuka also took a few steps toward them. Suo tried to stop them, and Sakura called out to Shizuka, but she had already made up her mind. She was determined to live with the memories she had created, no matter what happened next. At that moment, Tsubaki and his friends arrived to stop her. Shizuka tried to explain to Tsubaki that if she left, no one else would be harmed. But Tsubaki asked her gently, "What is it that you truly want?" With tears streaming down her face, Shizuka replied, "I want to stay with everyone." Moved by her words, Tsubaki hugged her and told her to stay behind. Because now, he would protect his precious little sister himself. Seeing this, Suzuri snapped. He declared that he would make sure no one was spared, and he would prove to Shizuka how worthless her dreams truly were. But Tsubaki only laughed and asked Suzuri, "Are you jealous of Shizuka?" Because people who don't understand someone else's dreams have often stopped dreaming themselves. Hearing this makes Suzuri furious, and he tells his men to finish everything off. Once again, a fight breaks out between the Roppo Gang and the Gravel Gang. Sakura also tries to join the fight, but Tsubaki asks him to protect Shizuka instead. Sakura agrees, having understood from Kanji's words what his true priority should be in this battle. Tsubaki tells the Roppo Gang to handle the Gravel Gang, while he declares that he'll take on Suzuri himself. He then asks his team to clear a path so he can reach Suzuri. Tsubaki's vice commanders begin fighting the Gravel Gang in perfect sync, and Tsubaki slowly starts moving forward. Shizuka is clearly not feeling okay watching all of this unfold, and Sakura tries to comfort her. He tells her that instead of thinking it's all her fault, she should feel proud that so many people care about her and are willing to do anything to protect her. Tsubaki's vice commanders continue thrashing the Gravel Gang efficiently, making it impossible for anyone to get close to Tsubaki. Just then, more members of the Gravel Gang attack Tsubaki and his team, but the Roppo Gang steps in to block them. At that moment, Suzuri himself enters the battlefield and lands a powerful punch on Tsubaki. However, Tsubaki stops it with one hand, and they both begin an intense fight, matching each other blow for blow. Realizing he's losing, Suzuri becomes even angrier and attacks Tsubaki again. But Tsubaki is still able to block all his moves. Tsubaki tells Suzuri that troubling a girl for money is a terrible thing to do. But Suzuri doesn't care and blames Shizuka instead, saying it's her fault for forgetting her place and living in dreams. Eventually, Suzuri manages to land a hit on Tsubaki, shocking everyone around. He mocks Tsubaki, saying his makeup is a worthless thing and that people like him who waste time on such useless stuff can never defeat someone like him. Suzuri charges again, but Tsubaki blocks his attack and calmly replies that his makeup makes him strong because it brings him happiness. He explains that love is something that strengthens people from within. Hearing this, Suzuri laughs mockingly, which makes Tsubaki realize that Suzuri has never experienced love in his life. Tsubaki then begins to feel sympathy for him and tells him that people like Suzuri can never truly defeat him. Suzuri attacks again, but this time, Tsubaki kicks him away and decides to show Suzuri his full strength. And guys, with that, this episode comes to an end. The link to the next episode should now be appearing on your screen. Click on it to continue watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means a lot and helps us keep creating meaningful videos for you. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. As the scene unfolds, a fierce battle erupts between Tsubaki and Suzuri. It soon becomes clear to Suzuri just how strong Tsubaki truly is. He struggles to understand how someone can possess such strength through love alone. Tsubaki explains that Shizuka faces every difficulty with love, and that inspires hope in others. Now that Suzuri wants to take Shizuka away, Tsubaki refuses to let it happen. In anger, Suzuri tells him to stay quiet and punches him. But Tsubaki is unfazed and knocks him down with a powerful kick. Seeing this, members of Suzuri's gang start to worry about him. This surprises Sakura, a boy, because the Gravel gang had never shown concern for anyone before. He can't figure out why they suddenly care so much for Suzuri. Suzuri stands back up and mocks Tsubaki, claiming that all his ideals only work in video games. Then, we get a glimpse into Suzuri's painful past. He grew up in a place where getting food was a daily struggle. Children constantly fought over meals. Suzuri, however, disliked this chaos and took it upon himself to distribute food equally among everyone. His sense of fairness attracted others, and he began to believe that, like in video games, his real life could improve too. As more people joined him, he realized how hard it was to ensure everyone received a fair share. He understood that earning money was necessary to provide food for all. To solve this, he proposed forming a team where all earnings would be shared equally. That way, even if someone couldn't work, they wouldn't go hungry. He asked everyone to believe in him and work together, and they did. They all took up various jobs to survive. But now, Tsubaki stands in his path, and Suzuri is willing to do whatever it takes to remove him. He argues that those who've never felt pain cannot understand it. Having always been alone, Suzuri doesn't care for Tsubaki's words. He lands a powerful punch on Tsubaki, but Tsubaki refuses to retaliate. Instead, he asks, "If nothing matters to you, why do you look like you're in so much pain?" Determined to understand Suzuri better, he decides to continue the fight. Their clash reminds Sakura of something Yumiya once said, that fighting can be a form of communication, a way to understand your opponent deeply. Suzuri, frustrated, tells Tsubaki that he doesn't know anything about him and has no right to judge. But Tsubaki replies that no one can fully understand another's pain, but that doesn't mean they should steal others' happiness. That's why he's determined to defeat Suzuri. Tsubaki then delivers a heavy kick, knocking Suzuri to the ground. But Suzuri, for the sake of his friends, refuses to give up. Tsubaki approaches and sincerely apologizes. He opens up about his own past, how he too once felt helpless, unable to do what he loved. But he was fortunate, people helped him when he needed it the most. Their kindness changed his life, and now, he wants to offer the same to Suzuri. He promises that if there's anything he can do to help, he will, no matter what. Suzuri, still bitter, tells Tsubaki that he's just living in a dream world. Even if Tsubaki saves him, what about the rest? People like them have no secure jobs, no certainty of food tomorrow. With survival being a constant worry, how can they dare to chase dreams? At that moment, Kanji steps in. He has realized what's really going on. He informs the Gravel gang that many shops nearby are in need of workers, and they can all find jobs there. Suzuri, confused, asks why Kanji is doing this. Kanji responds honestly, he can't forgive everything Suzuri has done. But now he understands him. And when Kanji made mistakes in the past, there was someone who helped him too. That's why, just like Tsubaki, he wants to help now. Finally, Suzuri realizes that he's not alone. There are people who want to stand by him. He accepts defeat. Seeing this, Shizuka breaks down in tears. Nair then asks Soa how he can become like Tsubaki and Kanji. Soa gently explains that they've been through many struggles, and to become like them, Nair will need to face his own hardships with courage and confidence. Suzuri, now calmer, asks Kanji and Tsubaki for some time. He wants to talk to his teammates. He gathers them and shares that all he ever wanted was to change their situation for the better. So that everyone could have enough to eat, Suzuri chose this path. But he always knew deep down that this path was wrong. At that time, he had no other option. But now, a new path has opened for him. That's why he wants everyone to follow this new path. However, if someone doesn't want to, he won't stop them. Then, Suzuri's teammates tell him that they had already decided long ago that they would follow him. So wherever Suzuri says to go, they're ready to go. Seeing this, Tsubaki realizes that Suzuri is not alone. That's when he admits to Suzuri that he lied to him. Meanwhile, Kanji thanks Sakura and his teammates. Shizuka comes over to talk to Kanji, but Tsubaki interrupts them and scolds Shizuka. He explains that her actions deeply hurt the feelings of the Roppo gang, because they were fighting for her. Even Sakura and his friends respected those feelings, but Shizuka made a mockery of them. Shizuka realizes her mistake and apologizes to everyone. Tsubaki hugs her and reassures her that she is not a burden to them. So if she ever needs him, he will be there, because he loves her very much. Both of them start crying. After a while, Tsubaki asks Shizuka to thank Kanji because he risked his life for his love. Kanji tries to downplay it, but Tsubaki insists that the two of them should start dating. Everyone agrees with that idea. Then, they all notice that Sakura's love-detecting sensor is off. They start to wonder if the sensor got damaged during the fight. Sakura tells them to be quiet and says he didn't like their style of fighting. They had said that if they could save the girl and the street, it wouldn't matter if they won or lost. But Sakura didn't like that at all. He can't bear to watch his friends lose. He knows that someone always gets hurt in a fight, but even so, he wants to become so strong that no one gets hurt. Everyone starts laughing after hearing this. Kanji tells Sakura that even if what he dreams of isn't reality right now, if he can make it real, it would be the best outcome. And Kanji firmly believes that someone as strong and smart as Sakura might actually be able to make it happen someday. Sakura blushes at hearing this, and Nair and Soa are also very happy. Then Soa asks Sakura if he would come to save him too, and Sakura tells him that he would be the last person he'd ever want to see lose. The entire Gravel gang apologizes to everyone. Suzuri also apologizes to Shizuka and promises her that if she ever feels like anyone from his gang is troubling her, he'll take full responsibility. He'll make sure no one bothers her again. Then Shizuka tells Suzuri that she understands what he and his gang have been through. Just like them, the Roppo gang also helped her. That's why now all of them together will repay their debt to the Roppo gang. Kanji then asks Suzuri if he won't say anything to the person who ordered him to kidnap Shizuka. Suzuri says he wants to talk to that person and resolve everything. But that person is already there, and he's not happy with how the fight ended. We then see that this is the same person who had survived the battle with Keel. Tsubaki is shocked to see him and asks what he's doing there. The man replies that he can go wherever he wants, and that all the fun and pleasures of life are just ways to waste time before death. And with that, the episode ends. So, in the last episode, just as things were heating up, Endo made his dramatic entrance. Seeing him left Tsubaki completely stunned. In the next scene, everyone's hanging out at a restaurant, enjoying a nice meal. They had finally rescued Sujuka, and Sujuri had calmed down. Everyone was in a good mood, except for Sakura and Neire, who looked rather serious. Tsubaki asks, "Why aren't you eating?" and Neire replies, "After everything that just happened, I can't just sit here like nothing's wrong." Sakura, clearly angry, adds, "There's no way I'm letting that guy off the hook." We then flash back to Endo jumping off a rooftop. But as soon as he lands, he starts crying, saying, "I didn't think it would hurt this much. I was just trying to make a cool entrance." Meanwhile, Sakura is feeling uneasy, especially when he looks at Tsubaki and Kanji, both visibly worn out. Tsubaki warns everyone not to engage in any more fighting. Endo then says, "It's been a while since we last met. If you're in the mood to fight, I won't mind, it might even be fun." Sakura and Suo immediately take fighting stances. Endo smirks, "So you guys want to fight me? Looks like even the kids want to act like bosses now." Tsubaki tells him, "Forget them, focus on me." Sujuri steps in and pleads, "If you've got something to say it to me. Please, leave the others out of this." At this point, Tsubaki has figured out that Endo is behind everything. Endo looks at Sakura and says, "First, lower your eyes. Don't you know who I am?" He then tells Tsubaki, "Why don't you tell him who I really am?" Tsubaki explains, "He's from our time. A former Furin student named Endo Yamato." Hearing the name, Nairai is visibly shaken. Seeing the looks on Nairai and Suo's faces, Sakura asks, "What's going on with you two?" Nairai replies, "You seriously don't know who Endo is? There's probably no one at Furin who doesn't. He's a legend." Endo laughs and says, "So people still talk about me, huh?" But Sakura says, "You're no legend in my eyes, you're just a terrible person. That's the truth." Hearing that, everyone around tenses up. Endo, now angry, replies, "You think you can call me that? People from Furin are supposed to protect this town and avoid trash talk. I bet you're Sakura, right? I remember seeing you during the kill battle, you were getting completely beaten up. I knew then that you didn't belong in Furin. You should have left." Nairai shouts, "That's not true," trembling as he speaks. Endo tells him, "Relax. Talk to me calmly. I won't hurt you." Then suddenly, Tsubaki and Kanji launch an attack on Endo. But Endo easily dodges both of their punches. Tsubaki tells him, "You shouldn't talk to them like that." Kanji also throws a punch, but Endo dodges that effortlessly too. Kanji says, "Sakura is perfect for Furin," to which Endo replies, "You don't need to say anything, you're not even from Furin." Just then, Suo jumps in with an attack, but Endo dodges again with ease. Now all three are fighting him, but Endo continues to dodge every strike. Finally, Sakura tries to kick Endo from behind, but Endo blocks him easily with one hand. Endo then says, "Sakura, I'm not here to insult you. I see your potential. I'm actually trying to praise your talent. You're strong, someone like you should walk alone." Sakura, reflecting on his past, replies, "You act like you know everything, but you don't know anything. I know exactly what I want to do now." His friends, hearing this, are clearly happy and proud. Endo says, "Alright, if you don't want to understand, then there's nothing I can do. But sure, I'll hang around for a bit." Then Sujuri sincerely pleads, "Endo, I know you came here to check if everything's running smoothly. But please, stop fighting. I don't want to drag everyone into my battles." He even kneels down while begging. Seeing this, Endo just bursts into laughter. And then he says, "Alright, I get your point now." After that, he starts explaining that an old man had hired him, someone who was actually a pretty awful person. He just wanted that guy to change a bit, to stop looking at girls in such a creepy way. Hearing this, everyone is quite shocked. Endo then says, "You guys are just lucky that I'm in a really good mood today." Tsubaki replies, "Man, you really haven't changed at all. You're still the same as before, no one can ever guess what you're going to do next. Then Endo says, alright then, I don't feel like battling today. I'll come to Furin sometime later, and we'll hang out there. He starts to leave, but Sakura runs after him, ready to stop him. That's when Endo, in a badass way, says, did you not hear what I just said? Soa tells Sakura to stop, and even Endo says, you should listen to your teacher, in my opinion. Then we're shown the present-day scene where Sakura is eating like crazy again. Nairai comments, bro, take it easy. Who eats this much? Sujuri, meanwhile, apologizes once more, saying, I had no idea Endo was from your school. I really don't know what I'm supposed to do now. Sakura responds, dude, are you crazy? Why do you keep apologizing all the time? Honestly, I'm not mad at you at all. I just can't stand that guy's face. He adds, the more I think about that guy, the angrier I get. Then Sujuri eats and says, I've never had food this good in my life. Tsubaki asks, alright then, tell me what else you want to do in life. Sujuri says, I want to play games. I've never played any in my life. At that moment, Sogo comes in with a bunch of games and says, let's play right now. Everyone starts playing, and Kanji wins the first round. He asks Sujuri how he's feeling, and Sujuri says, honestly, this feels really great. Seeing Sujuri so happy, Tsubaki gets a little emotional. Meanwhile, Nairai is teaching Sakura how to play, since Sakura has never played before and keeps losing. He gets super frustrated and says, I'm not quitting until I win. Nairai replies, alright bro, I'll stick with you till then. Kanji asks Tsubaki, is everything okay with you? Tsubaki replies, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Kanji says, you know who I'm talking about, Endo. Tsubaki says, yeah, I've informed Yumimiya about him. They were all quite surprised that Endo actually complimented someone for the first time, specifically Sakura. He seemed quite interested in him. Except for one other person, Endo had never really shown that kind of interest before. Though we don't know who that other person is just yet, well, I do, and maybe you do too, but according to the story, we're not supposed to know yet. Then Tsubaki goes to Sakura and his team and says, tomorrow, I want all of you to meet me on the school rooftop, I've got something important to discuss. Finally, we're shown the rooftop scene. A lot of people are gathered there. Sakura wonders what's going on. Tsubaki explains that Yumimiya called everyone here. Nairai asks Sakura, bro, doesn't this feel a bit strange to you? Sakura doesn't get it at first, so Nairai explains, look around, this is the first time we're seeing the four kings together, along with all their sub-advisors. That's pretty amazing. I think something serious is going on with Endo. Then we see Yumimiya watching them from a distance, kind of embarrassed and a bit late. He finally steps forward, apologizes to everyone, and thanks Sakura and his gang for coming. The meeting is just about to begin. And with that, we wrap up this episode right here. So, tell us in the comments how you liked today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye. Previously, we saw that Yumimiya called everyone to the rooftop for a meeting. He then arrived himself and began the meeting. He told everyone that they must have come early in the morning and hadn't had breakfast yet, so he offered them sandwiches. Seeing this, Sakura asked what was going on, and Soa remarked that it felt like a picnic. Then we were shown a flashback where all the sandwiches had been prepared by Tachibana. He also made tea for everyone. Tsujishi was seen serving the tea to everyone. Seeing this, Neirei offered to help him, but Tsujishi became visibly angry upon seeing the three of them. He wondered why they were even there. Despite his irritation, he placed cups in front of everyone, except Sakura. Sakura, noticing this, got angry and asked where his cup was. Tsujishi, also getting angry, crushed a cup and handed it to Sakura. Sakura, even more furious, asked how he was supposed to drink tea from that. Yumimiya scolded Tsujishi, saying he shouldn't waste cups like that. Feeling nervous, Tsujishi tried to straighten the crushed cup and handed it to Sakura, which made Yumimiya happy. He thanked Tsujishi for not wasting the cup. However, Sakura still questioned how he was supposed to drink from such a cup. Then, Araki told Yumimiya that while the food was good, they should get straight to the main topic. Yumimiya agreed. Nerei then asked he should explain what happened yesterday. Yumimiya said there was no need since Tsubaki had already told him everything and even Kanji had sent his thanks, meaning the job was well done. Tsubaki thanked the three again for their help. Still confused, Nerei asked why they were called if they didn't need to explain themselves. Yumimiya then turned to Sakura and asked what he thought about Endo after meeting him yesterday. Sakura replied that Endo was terrible. Yumimiya laughed and said he had heard from Tsubaki that Endo was interested in Sakura, so he thought it would be a good time to tell him more about Endo. To do so, he said he needed to tell the story from the beginning, how Bofurien was formed. That's why he gathered everyone. Nerei interrupted, saying he already knew how Bofurien was created. It was formed when Yumimiya's group entered the school. Yumimiya acknowledged this and said that was just the basic story. What he was going to share was something that had been left behind, a story from their past, about Shadow. He then asked Nerei how much he knew in detail about the story. Nerei began explaining, everything started 2 years ago on April 7th. Furien High School was infamous for its delinquents. 5 students joined the school, they shared the same ambition. This was Yumimiya's group. At that time, fights were common in Furien, both internally and with outsiders. But as soon as Yumimiya's group entered, they challenged every faction within the school and defeated them one by one. In a short time, they rose to the top of Furien. Even their seniors couldn't stop them. They turned their defeated enemies into allies and gradually spread their influence throughout the school. As a result, the fighting within Furien decreased. Exactly a year later, they did something unprecedented. All those who had gathered under Furien made a promise to protect the town. That's how Furien became Bofurien. After Neriai's story, everyone praised her storytelling. Hiragi remarked that the story wasn't so simple, and Yumimiya agreed. Nerei replied that it seemed like he about to hear a story he had never heard before. Hiragi told Yumimiya that while he fought the leader one-on-one, he had to fight 30 people at once. Mizuki teased him, saying he was exaggerating. Hiragi fired back, saying Mizuki got dangerous whenever his glasses broke. Another person, Mamos, said he was like Yumimiya and only remembered how to draw. Hearing all this, Sakura asked about the shadow mentioned in the story, what did it mean? Nerei answered that it referred to Endo. Yumimiya confirmed it was true, but not the full story. He asked Nerei how much he knew about Endo. Nerei replied that if you entered Furien, you had to know about Endo, he was a legend. Sakura recalled that Soa had said even he knew Endo, and he was just a first-year student. Endo had formed a group and constantly fought, even defeating seniors. But unlike Yumimiya's group, Endo's group only fought to gain allies and power. They were a small group of elites who didn't just fight within Furien but also crushed teams from outside. Nerei said she'd heard that Endo's group was so brutal that they once burned down an entire place. If you went up against Endo, it was basically game over. He was the biggest obstacle to the unification of Furien. But eventually, the hero, Yumimiya, defeated the legend, Endo, and Furien was unified. However, Endo's group didn't join the unified Furien. They left it entirely. That's why they were called Shadow. Because they rejected unified Furien and chose to walk away. It meant Endo didn't agree with Yumimiya's beliefs. Since Yumimiya's influence shaped what Furien became, Endo likely wants revenge. And that's why he became a shadow. After hearing this, Yumimiya says, Nerei, there are 2 mistakes in your story. First, they didn't take action for revenge, but seeing the situation now, it looks like they're against Furin. Nerei replies, no matter what, your group already defeated them once, right? We can win again. Yuminia responds, that's your second mistake. They didn't reject unified Furin. They abandoned it themselves. They left after the first year ended. Hearing this, Sakura says, so that means you all unified Furin after a year. Nerei gets nervous and says, does that mean? Yuminia says, yes, you understood correctly. We never actually defeated them. Nerei gets more nervous and asks, what exactly are you trying to say? Yuminia says, you already know how we unified Furin and turned everyone into allies. After that, we made it our goal to protect this town. But Endo's group wanted the old Furin back, a place full of fights and challenges. We fought against Endo's group many times. Every time it felt like a death match. But in the end, there was never a clear winner. On the other hand, we kept fighting the other factions and turned them into allies. Our numbers grew. Because of that, the atmosphere in Furin began to change. Furin became disciplined. Seeing that, Endo and his group completely lost interest in Furin and left. The chaos and violence they wanted to bring back into Furin, they carried that chaos and violence within themselves. Jowsen Conra says, so that means he was the shadow and then he left. Yuminia replies, yes, but now that shadow is returning. I don't know why, but in the worst case scenario, maybe they want Furin to return to how it used to be, full of fights. Hearing this, everyone goes silent. Sakura starts laughing and says, that's perfect. If they come to us on their own, we'll save time. We won't have to go to them. Sakura turns to everyone and says, are you all scared? We just have to do one simple thing. It doesn't matter who's in front of us, we just need to defeat the opponent that stands in our way. Then Sakura thinks to himself, I'm laughing at myself now. I used to say I'd fight to become number one, and that it's the best feeling ever. But later I realized it's about things and feelings. Sakura remembers all the important things others taught him. Reflecting on this, he says, we protect the things we love, right? That's what Bofurin has always done. Everyone is shocked after hearing this. At the same time, Yuminia remembers how Tachibana once told him about Sakura, how Sakura came to this town thinking about how Furin used to be. He said this place was perfect for him. Remembering the past, Yuminia becomes happy and says to Sakura, I'm really glad you came to this town. Sakura gets shy hearing that. Then Yuminia says, if you ever get a chance to face Endo, I'm counting on you, handle him. He adds, it's rare for Endo to take an interest in someone else like this. But since he has, you need to stay alert. Sakura says, yeah, of course. Just don't say later that I stole your target. Yuminia laughs and says, don't worry. Endo never had any interest in me. Even when he was in Furin, we never fought one-on-one. Everyone is surprised to hear this. Sakura says, but didn't you say you fought Endo's group many times? Yuminia replies, yes, I said I fought his group, not Endo himself. He adds, back then, there was another legend. Nerei and Soa both say, we've never heard of that person. Nerei asks, if he's a legend, does that mean there was another person like Endo? Yuminia replies, no, the person I'm talking about is far more powerful than Endo. He's someone I could never defeat. Everyone is shocked. Nerei nervously asks, who is this person you couldn't defeat? Yuminia says, his name is Chika Takashi, he's the most powerful person in Furin's history. In the next scene, we see Endo coming out of a shop holding ice cream. As he walks into an alley, he becomes excited seeing the scene there, many people are lying on the ground. We learn that these people were defeated by none other than Chika Takashi. Endo says, what did you do here? Chika replies, I was trying to light fireworks, but these people were in the way. Endo laughs and says, "Yeah, it's their fault. But why did you stack them one on top of another?" Chika says, "Because fireworks are launched from above, right?" Then Chika puts a firework on one person's forehead and lights it. But he gets disappointed. "I wanted the firework to go even higher. Looks like I'll need to beat up more people, so I can stack their bodies and make a better launch pad." And with that, this amazing episode ends. Since this was the final episode of the season, the anime ends here too. As soon as season 3 is released, I'll upload it on this channel. So, wait for it. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And thank you for showing so much love to this series. I'll see you all again with another amazing new series. Until then, bye bye.